What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Max. I'm your host. This is Coffee. Hope you have some in front of you as well. Today, I want to talk about getting hired again, getting rehired, and how you can do that, and how you will not get rehired, how you should avoid those things. So, let's say you are a guitarist and you are a session guitarist, you do recordings, you do gigs, and you get called to play a gig. And let's say that this situation is, it happens in 3 days from now, and you have to learn 10 songs. Maybe it's like an hour-ish set, something like that. And it's well within your style. And so you take the gig, you're available, and you have choices right from the second you take the gig. So let's imagine the best possible scenario for that gig for you. So best possible scenario is you show up and you play all of the songs perfectly. You can lock in with the band. You feel like you have already played with the band before, and you're confident. You don't scare the band leader in any way, shape, or form for maybe you don't know the songs, or maybe you show up and you're drunk or something like that. Like, all those things have to go well. That's great, but here's the worst part is that is only maybe like 80% of all the things you could do. Might even be less than that, might even be like 50%. So they'll be happy with you, you'll get paid, but do you think you'll get hired again? That's the question. Maybe, maybe not. So at what point would you get hired again before the original guitarist that couldn't make that gig? Like, what do you think you have to do in that gig to blow them away so well, so much, that they hire you again for the next one? I want to think about that for a little bit. So first things first, you got to be the nicest person. I'm not talking about, oh, hey, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about over the top, genuinely, with care and interest and respect for this person that hired you for this gig. I don't care if they're an absolute tool. You don't have to play with them. That's another thing. But you are nice to them. You ask them about things that you're genuinely curious about. You come in, you care about the music. That makes a huge difference. And you're just pleasant. And you do everything you can to get on the same page as that person and accomplish the same goals as that person. So what that could be is, hey, we have to sell out the show. Like, we need to play and crush it so hard, and it needs to be sold out. So maybe you could say, well, like, if I'm playing this show, I'm going to get some promotion for myself too. I'm going to do everything I can to bring people to this show. That little thing that is not required from you, that little extra thing, is something that could get you hired again, because maybe the other guitarist just shows up and doesn't promote at all. It's not something you're required to do, but it's a little extra thing. Promoting the main band leader, that could be another thing. Maybe you, in conversations with other people, get him another gig. Ooh, that would score some points for sure. That would absolutely score some points. In fact, I think of all the things that would get you hired again, if you get them a gig yourself, you're probably going to get hired again. So it's just an interesting thing. I had an experience with somebody at a practice space earlier this week, and they were just so here's what happened. They're so nice. They're so nice that I'm talking about them right now. I'm promoting them right now. And the way they were nice is we showed up to this practice space. They were the manager at the practice space. And we showed up and helped us load in our stuff, and we got into the kind of bigger room where we could hear ourselves play. It was a little bit like live sound room, big monitors and louder. And they spent a lot of time getting our sound right, and we were being really picky, and they were so patient with us and helped us out. I had an issue with one of the toms on the kit. It was actually like scratching up the bass drum, so I let him know about it, and he came over and replaced it immediately while I was playing. It's just like very, very on top of it, above and beyond. He wasn't complaining. He wasn't. And here's what's really important is he's a manager for this space, so he works for this space. And he didn't say, when I mentioned the tom scratching the bass drum, like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, the owner will deal with it, or oh, this and this. And what that said to me is, even though it really doesn't have anything to do with me, it means that he cares about the person that is hiring him. He has the same vision as the person who's hiring him. He has the same goals. He sees the issue like, oh, if this bass drum gets damaged, we're going to have to replace it. We're going to have to fix it, or it's going to look bad for the next band. So he immediately said, oh, I'm going to fix it, right? And you could tell it wasn't because he thought he was going to get yelled at. It was because he cared and he knew that it was something that needed to be changed. So that was +1 for him. Super, super nice guy. Then we finish our first half of practice and we go and hang out in the hallway for a little bit and we're just chatting. And this guy, I've never sent him anything in my life before, but we're chatting about production and somehow the topic comes up and one of the band members says like, oh, Max, you do some production too, right? And yeah, talking about it a little bit. And this manager, who again, never sent any music to him before, says, yeah, Max, and like, I'm actually really blown away by your mixing. Like, I heard some of your stuff and it sounds really good. Like, I'm really blown away by it. You did a great job. I was like, wow, like, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. He probably got me a gig by saying that. After that, the guitarist is like, oh, take my card like this, like, let's link up. I'll have you produce my stuff. I'm like, thank you. And then after we're wrapping up, the third thing is we're finishing up and we're loading our stuff out. And he's genuinely curious about this gig that we're playing. He's not like, see you guys, I'm going home to chill and relax. He's like, where are you guys playing? What's the venue? I think he's trying to see if he could come, but unfortunately sold out. Is there tickets available? This, what do you guys do? What kind of stuff? Blah, blah, blah. He was really actually curious and genuinely. And it was such a good experience that I got home and the next morning I texted the owner of the practice space. I'm like, hey, this person is awesome. Like, you definitely need to, like, whatever you're paying them, double it. They're awesome. I really, really appreciate their help. They're great. And he was really excited to hear that. So anyway, so think about if you were a guitarist or a drummer or bassist or whatever, what you can do in a gig that you get hired for that is above and beyond the expectations of that gig. Could be anything. You could save the day somehow, but just be ready, bring a patch cable. Even if you're not a guitarist, bring a little patch cable for when the bass player forgets his. You're like, oh, ba-bum, I have mine. Superhero, +1 points, right? So just think about that. You're playing a gig. You can either meet the bare minimum expectations, or if you want to get hired again, make it such a pleasurable experience for the person that hired you that they have no choice but to hire you again for the next one. So some food for thought, coffee for thought. Hope you guys are having a great morning, and please, let's have a conversation. Leave some comments below. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. If you haven't, I got to start telling people to do that. It's going to be right. No, it's going to be right there for your subscribe button. Thank you so much.